This is just a sign of how serious the situation is. Floodwaters rising at a rapid pace, and on top of that, we have this rainstorm that is just barreling down rain.
It literally just happened about 2 minutes ago. The railroad bridge has collapsed. It is now floating downstream in the Cedar River.
It's a lost cause. I don't know. What do you do with this sort of thing, you know?
I've never been in a position where I can't work it out. I'm in a position right now where it's like, what do you do?
Memories of my kids' pictures gone, probably. Everything's gone. It's like, it's really hard to deal with. I'm thinking about just moving back to California because I can't live like this.
Karen, what can you tell us about these rumored evacuations?
Well, it's no longer a rumor. It is happening as we speak. We've made the difficult decision to evacuate the hospital.
We're Iowans. We've gone through worse. We will persevere. We will come out on top. We will, neighbors helping neighbors, strangers helping strangers. We will come out on top of this, folks.
Remember that Sunday into Monday, I was actually off. And the news director called. It's already starting to flood in Independence, so we're going to send you a live truck. If you want to go live, field anchor the noon from Independence, and then just kind of follow it downstream. We started in Independence, and it kept raining. Even while the flood was going on, we'd get these, just heavy storms with lots of rain with them. Just kind of adding to more of the fear that we didn't know how bad it was going to be, but we didn't prepare for how bad it got.
The interesting thing was about 2 weeks prior to the flood, we had an all-council retreat with disaster preparedness people from the city. And it was always, we're never going to have anything like this happen in Cedar Rapids, but we just have to go through it. Our fire chief was going to be the main guy, and here's how we'll do it.
If they can leave now, if they got friends or family that they can move to, that would be fantastic. Get as much stuff out as they can now and before things get congested and worse and harder. There's Red Cross shelter available that they can go to if they need to.
All of us thought it'll never happen. Well, it did happen.
We are evacuating by the end of this day on the basis of the 500-year floodplain. We'll come out on the other end of this crisis as strong, if not stronger, than we have been before.
Tuesday it was like, well, okay, here's how we're going to fight it. And then by Wednesday it was like, we're going to try to fight it. At least this is in my mind. And I'm a problem solver. That's what leaders do. They solve problems. So it's like, yeah, we can use this and we can use this. And then it became really apparent, I think, on Wednesday that, okay, this could be a runaway train. This might be beyond anything we can do.
The height of that levee was at the level of the flood forecast yesterday. So with the flood forecast this morning going up another 2 feet, that levee is 2 feet too low to protect against that forecast level.
Actually, I have a running truck right now and 4 of my family members with vehicles that are coming to help me pack up my stuff and get it out because I don't want my house to wash away.
And what have you heard from police that have come through and told you guys you have to get out?
The police officer had told some neighbors up the road that it's a mandatory evacuation. If we're not out by noon tomorrow and they come knocking at doors, they will ticket you with felonies.
The police department was knocking on doors a couple hours before we actually went under and said, don't worry, we don't think it's going to get this high. We had already taken everything from the basement and moved it up to the main floor. We thought we were going to be all right by doing that.
We always said we have a good community here and everybody pulls together when something like this happens, and even a lot of people that live out in the country that are not worried about being flooded are in here to help today with this. We sandbagged, we did 10,000 bags when it was going to flood earlier this year, and we thought, well, maybe that would be enough, but then when they upped it by up to 23 feet, we thought we better fill a lot more.
So we had stage plans for if this happens, then what? Based on how high the river is, we do certain things in preparedness, and but if we start seeing the river at a certain level, that action plan gets opened up and we start going through all those steps. It was kind of gradual until it got suddenly worse. But I think the light bulb moment was when, where we're standing right now, we saw water start coming up out of the drains into the street. And it was abundantly clear that things were going to get worse quickly.
Well, when they told us a couple of days ahead that there was going to be a flood, but they couldn't tell us how high the water was going to be. So we really didn't know how much to prepare for. So what we did was we put everything up in the bakery about 2 or 3 feet off the ground, thinking that was going to be enough.
I never in a million years thought, flood insurance, what do you need that for?
This is just a sign of how serious the situation is. Flood waters rising at a rapid pace, and on top of that, we have this rainstorm that is just barreling down rain.
This couple is on the boat. This is downtown, as you can see, completely flooded, and you know, this is some emergency personnel rescuing these people from their home. The man there is Dennis Thomas. Now I talked to him. He said they had never been told that they were supposed to evacuate.
I think our anchoring started around the clock Wednesday into Thursday, Friday. We were nonstop coverage. We started at like 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we'd go to Letterman, you know, at 10:35 at night.
Sonia, we have some breaking news right now. We're going to go to Teal right now on the phone, where we have just heard that the railroad bridge between 8th Avenue and 12th Avenue Bridge has just collapsed. Teal, what is the latest?
Megan, it literally just happened about 2 minutes ago. The railroad bridge has collapsed. It is now floating downstream in the Cedar River. It took just a matter of seconds. We've been watching this for a number of minutes now. It was slowly beginning to tip, beginning to collapse. Once the first rail car tipped over, it was all over from there.
Then the railroad tracks at Penford broke, and the trains, everything went in. That was a huge surge. And it felt like 30 minutes later, the stop signs were under. And I looked at my husband and I said, I think we're gonna have to go. I had an evacuation plan, because, you know, people make fun of me, but I had all these cat carriers on the dining room table with the names on them, so we knew what cat went in where, otherwise they were gonna fight with each other. And we evacuated in about 10 minutes. But when we evacuated, we were the water's at the floorboards of the truck.
And there would be like kids' playthings and parts of decks up so high in the trees that you just can't believe it. And that had to be from a force. And you know, I'm positive that was from the bridge collapsing. So you know, you just really learn the power of water, the power of a lot of water. But there was a concern that anybody that would be downstream from that, you know, are they out? Because if they aren't, this is going to be a really bad thing, and you know, they're going to be on the roofs of their houses.
Once the first rail car began to tip over, it only took a matter of seconds for the whole thing to be washed away.
The cops came up to our house and told us you need to evacuate the shelter, your place or where you're living, to go to Roosevelt. So we went to Roosevelt, and Roosevelt said to us that we were evacuating to here. So
you were evacuated from place to place?
Yeah, place to place. So we were pretty much roaming around today, and everybody's down and missing family, and then they're crying. So we're trying to help out to do whatever we can.
I always saw this in the movies and saw it on TV when I lived in California, but I never could imagine I'd actually be caught in the middle of it. I thought I was scared of tornadoes, and now I have a river coming at my street.
We both bailed in '93 to keep the basement dry, and excuse me, it's a lost cause. I don't know. What do you do with this sort of thing, you know?
I appreciate you sharing your story.
All right. I wish everybody the best of luck. There's a lot of people, not just one of a few thousand, I think, that are going to be in trouble in Cedar Rapids, let alone everywhere else in eastern Iowa.
And this is what we came to. I mean, it's all flooded. My basement's all flooded. I have a 2-year-old almost, and this is just terrible. I can't live like this.
Are you still in your house?
No, we're in a hotel right now. So.
Okay. Tell me, how are you dealing with all of this?
It's hard. I mean, I'm crying and stuff because it's hard to see everything go. I mean, like, memories of my kids' pictures gone, probably. Everything's gone. It's like, it's really hard to deal with. I'm thinking about just moving back to California because I can't live like this. And I'm on low income, so I can't afford to be in this, you know.
Water just automatically started to rise, so we had to get out right away and everything. And
so you didn't have very much time to grab your belongings. Did you have a kit prepared, something that you were ready to go with when they said, hey, it's time to go?
Yeah, earlier that evening I thought maybe there could be a problem, so I put together a few personal effects, and I had several animals, so I had to get all their things together and make sure I got all my animals out of there.
There are so many stories of people, you know, being saved, their pets. These guys had like kittens hanging on to their wetsuits and dogs, and they'd just go out and try to save whoever they could. And there were people on top of their houses and all that stuff that you see. But these guys it was nonstop.
We have 3 crews right now that are going out with boats into the water, going door to door basically with the addresses that have been left to us as far as people that need assistance with their animals being left behind. They want us to pick them up. We are removing those animals and taking them to the Kirkwood Community College right now to be held for the owners to come in and be claimed.
We can tell you right now, 23.6 feet, and they're expecting, folks, the newest flood level for Cedar Rapids, 25 plus.
It was chaos, because, we didn't know. There's a lot that we didn't know, and how are we supposed to relay, in a calm, cool, confident manner when it keeps changing, and then relay that on to the public? Hey, we know it was this, now it's this.
The gauge floor elevation is 22 feet, so it's actually probably, the river level is about 28 feet.
The Cedar River level is about 28 feet.
Correct. That's the information that we're providing to the National Weather Service.
Wow.
Right
The forecasted crest is sometime tomorrow, about 32 feet, putting it well above any flood stage we've ever seen.
In any other record or history, because again, the highest levels before were 20 feet.
And we have Thursday or Friday, people are out sandbagging, and we have tornado warnings.
Okay, the tornado warning till 6:45. Iowa City on towards the south. Folks start bracing for some more of this severe weather.
There was a fear of not being able to give everybody what they needed to know. People who are out and about trying to help sandbag with their neighbors and save their own property, they don't have a TV near them. They don't have a radio near them. They don't know what's coming their way. They're just worried about what's in front of me here.
We were preparing for 24.5. 24 and a half feet. So that's considerably higher. We thought, well, that'll be enough. That would be a worst case scenario. So to now be over 26 and still have perhaps a whole day before crest, especially with the storms to the north, we're on uncharted territory, uncharted waters, you might say. I know that we were probably all in shock. You're just in shock that this actually happened. I'd wake up in the morning and think, oh yeah, wait a minute, I've got to do this other thing. So you just rise to the occasion, you get your energy somehow.
Okay, Mercy Hospital, can we go to that?
Yeah, let's go to that one real quick here.
Yeah, Mercy Hospital, it looks like a press release saying they're no longer accepting any more patients due, of course, to the flooding like everything else. The current water level there is at 3.5 feet on the Lundy Pavilion side of the hospital. So no more patients at Mercy Hospital. And of course, emergency surgeries in general stopped there today.
Even people that had nothing to do with Mercy came out of the woodwork. We put out a request for help, and the local media was very helpful with that. And literally within minutes, there were cars of people, pickup loads of people, people bringing sand. And there were literally hundreds of people right behind me sandbagging all along this building. There were people standing in water and sandbagging just nonstop. It was amazing.
Now, you guys are from Mercy Medical Center who actually came up to help sandbag, right?
That's correct.
Now, what time did you guys get up here this afternoon?
About noon.
About noon. Now, you guys have been here for a while. I mean, we see some food and drinks here. I mean, do you need people to bring more stuff, first aid kits? What could you tell people that they need to want to come help out, what they need to bring?
I think just bodies and just the help to get the sandbags ready to go.
All right. And now, do you guys have any idea where the sandbags are heading to after you get them made?
We're hoping they're heading to Mercy Medical Center.
Okay. The situation there so far, a little bit of water going in from last week.
A little bit of water in our parking ramp, but we're being proactive and trying to get things ready to go just in case.
That's so far away from the river. How did the water get down to 10th and 8th? That's so far removed from the Cedar River. And there are, parts of Cedar Rapids that were underwater that should have never been underwater because they're so far away from the riverbank and everything.
You mentioned Mother Nature's fury. She's putting on quite a fireworks display for us. There's been lightning across the sky all throughout downtown for about the last hour or so, and it's kind of impressive to look at. What's really impressive, though, is the water level down here. It's now up to about 30 feet and a few inches. I was speaking with Dave Coach earlier today about water levels and what it's doing for the rest of the city. Earlier this week, they put in the mandatory evacuation for the 100-year floodplain. Then they extended it to the 500-year floodplain. Now they're saying if you can see water from your house, basically, it's time to evacuate.
It really became clear that we needed to evacuate. When you come to the conclusion that there might be a threat to the power supply, to the water supply. It just, we're focused first and foremost on safety of patients, and there's no way that we were going to put that at risk. So we needed to, in advance, when we sensed that that might be at risk, then it became clear that we had to make the decision to evacuate.
And right now we do have Mercy Medical spokesperson Karen Vandersanden.
Where we had just signed off the air. And we throw to CBS Network, we all kind of had a chance to breathe. And then we got the phone call that, hey, they're sandbagging Mercy Hospital. The hospital's taking on water.
Karen, what can you tell us about these rumored evacuations?
Well, it's no longer a rumor. It is happening as we speak. We've made the difficult decision to evacuate the hospital. The floodwaters are coming into the building. There's water in the basement, and we're just concerned that our energy, our power source will be affected, will be compromised.
We brought everybody who was an employee that could come in, and even the National Guard showed up. So we had teams going room to room, floor to floor, evaluating, making sure patients were safe, and making sure that they had all the treatment they needed, because we had to transport people anywhere from a half a mile to 100 miles or more, depending on where they would go. So that process went on for several hours, and it was pretty amazing. From the time the decision made to the last patient was out was roughly around 6 hours.
I thought, well, yeah, this is going to be inconvenient for a while, but we're going to be all right. And then it was quick. It was quick.
And what's behind me right now is a pretty small building just off of Edgewood, but while this building is small, it may be one of the most important in the city right now. Inside this building is one of the wells that feeds the city's water supply. And as you can see, water has come right up to the building.
And I remember going on the air and saying, hey, if you can get to the Edgewood Road Bridge, you can't go down the bridge because the water's that high, but there's a water, the water treatment plant right there. They need you to help, because that's basically our last defense of water. If you can help sandbag that, we can still have water. Everybody showed up to help because they knew how important having running water and some sense of normalcy was during this whole stretch of hell on earth.
We're asking people to conserve. We're asking to keep it just for drinking. And we absolutely need to do that. This is going to be a long siege. This is not like an event that's done and over with. It has not crested. We're just praying that we kept that, because then we didn't lose water for the city. I mean, there were so many things like little battles that even though everything else seemed lost, we could win little battles at a time. And you have to keep doing that. We can save all these lives. We can save the water.
And I got back up there, and there were just cars all over the place. Hundreds of cars, people coming out with shovels.
That's an amazing
There were
sight.
over 1,000 people there. They just showed up out of nowhere and flocked down there, and they stretched out from the road clear around to this water well.
These photos are incredible. I am shocked about how many people are there, the volume of number of people who were there to lend a hand to help folks try to get these sandbagging efforts done.
So anybody in Cedar Rapids today who drinks a nice cool glass of water has people like you to thank. At 9 o'clock this morning, the Cedar River hit 31.1 feet. It's expected to crest later today at just a little bit, just a smidge under 32 feet. That shatters the old record. The latest figure we have is something like 3,900 homes. 3,900 homes evacuated, roughly 10,000 people uprooted by these floods.
Now you can see exactly that business down there. Incredible to see. You can just see like the little archways in front, which looks like were windows. Look at that house. Halfway up the door and coming into the windows.
That was a small Mexican restaurant, a grocery store there. Also, both of those just inundated by the water. Taking a close look, that's an amazing sight right there. The water whipping around that. Just look how much water is up against that house. The home inside has got to be just destroyed by the water, the flood water that's obviously inside there. But again, this is a look at the situation in the First Avenue area.
And that's Czech Village down there in the museum where I was there not too long ago for the Martin Luther King celebration.
So some amazing images coming into the newsroom from high above downtown Cedar Rapids. Again, to reiterate, the Cedar River crested today at just a little over 31 feet.
We put this house on the market 2 days ago. So, you know, he's got another lot bought and looking to build a home. And so, you know, he was awfully nervous because obviously when you're up this high, you don't carry flood insurance.
Coming up on 8:30, 8:27 right now on this Saturday morning, June 14th, as Eastern Iowa begins another very difficult day, a challenging day ahead.
There was so much going on. National Guard, no National Guard. Can we go back to our houses? Can we not go back to our houses?
The basement is a loss. She's lost the washer, dryer, the furnace, you know. She's lost a lot.
Televisions, couches, chairs, beds. Pretty much everything.
I don't know what that first look is going to be like. I can't anticipate what that's going to feel like. I don't know. You sit and you think to yourself, nothing matters as much as ourselves and our pets. We got out, we're okay. And then the longer you sit and think about it, you think, oh, I loved that picture on the dining room wall. Oh, my crystal. I don't know what it's going to, I can't anticipate that feeling.
That first look of going into the house first time, I mean, we didn't even know if we opened the door, we didn't even know if it was safe to walk in. Sure. And the floor looked like an ocean itself. The green mold and mud, it smelled horrible. Ooh, God, even thinking about it makes my stomach upset again. I'd kind of forgotten about actually how that felt. It was overwhelming.
We had 8.5 feet of water in the bakery, so. It was a mess. I mean, you know, we came in, everything, it looked like somebody had taken an egg beater in here. Everything was all beat up and churned up and a mess, you know. But we were able to salvage maybe one or two things, you know. A lot of people came through and helped out, you know, people that it's really hard to talk about. People came and helped that we didn't even know. You know, total strangers came in and helped us clean up. It was great.
Who do we help first? And, you know, we talked about we got to get people back in their homes. But what I kept saying is if we don't help these small businesses, people won't have a job to be able to do anything to these homes.
There was a big fear of what Cedar Rapids is going to become. You know, what's left, because it's all gutted out and flooded out. What's going to happen now?
It'll never be the same. It's pretty. And they're trying, you know. But having lived here before that, with the old street lights, and you walk down here at night, and you come down here to watch the fireworks, and, you know, it's changed.
We lost all those homes to the people who lived here. So we lost the neighborhood for the most part, you know, with the exception of our main street here.
I know that there are still people who were hurt forever from that. And so I do think of all the progress and how we've come back bullish on this community, but it was a disaster.